Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends, enemies, and comrades, I hope you're doing well in this day. It's July 1st. It's the first of the month. So I hope you're doing well wherever you are. This is Kenya Revolutionary. I'm going to bring you a very brief video because my gadget here is not well charged. So I will try to be as succinct, brief, and give you my pithy comments on what's happening in Kenya. And like I say today, I'll be straightforward, straight to the point, of course, with less fluff as usual. But before I get started, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, if this is your first day or your first time coming across this channel, my name is Kenya Revolutionary. I talk about Kenyan politics and world politics as it relates to Kenya. So if you like that kind of content or news analysis or whatever the case is, go ahead and subscribe. If you are not interested in that kind of talk, then it's okay. You don't have to subscribe. You can listen in, you can chat, you can give your comments in the chat, you can like the video. If you do not like to do that, that's fine too. You can sit in the back, listen, whether you're at work, just listen to what I have to say. And if you're not interested, you can just scroll on. There's other channels that you can watch. I'm again. But anyway, if you've already subscribed and you are here, please, the first order of business is to like and share the video, okay? If you're going to watch the repeats, on repeat, please do the same. Like, share, subscribe, do all the good stuff. I'm again. All right. There's something I really want to talk about today. Not the topic itself. I won't delve much into the topic, but it's the topic is meant for you to basically think a little bit, okay? I know it's a little bit provocative. I want to provoke your thinking. I want you to be an eternal skeptic. Question everything, as I usually say. Do not just believe, verify, okay? So let's get to it. The topic says that, well, the matter is, are these Kenyan abductions, these abductions that are happening, whether it's Ndaigwa, the young man that was supposed to be produced by the DCI in court this morning, whether it's Ojwang, whether it's, I don't know, name it, the hundreds, if not thousands of young men and women who have been abducted. From news reports, it says that the DCP chair, secretary, whatever the case is, also have been abducted. Now, are these abductions in Kenya being used as rage bait? Okay, karibu sana Gypsy Corner, nice seeing you, my friend. Nice seeing you again. So that is my question for the day. Thank you so much for liking the video already, Gypsy Corner. Thank you for your support for this channel and other channels. You've been an ardent listener, follower of this channel. So that is my question. Are these abductions that are happening in Kenya, are they meant to be used as a rage bait? For those of you who are not familiar with the term rage bait basically means, something that is said or done to provoke you, provoke anger, emotions, okay? Ukasirike. Is this what it is about? I first started questioning these abductions, especially after that whole Ojwang death. I asked myself, why would the DCI go all the way to Siaya, abduct this young man who was, apparently he was eating his lunch or dinner, whatever the case is, and they came up and arrested him and drove him all the way back to Nairobi and took his life. Of course, we are being told that he had his beef with Eliud Lagat. Not beef, but he says some disparaging things about the police force or the DCI, the corruption that may have been happening in the within the police force that maybe ended his life. But to me, again, I don't know. It just doesn't add up to me. I mean, how many people have written or exposed these police forces of government entities? Um, how many people have done that? Thank you, Gypsy. Thank you, Gypsy, so much. Um, that's what I started wondering. I mean, there are people who have written, have posted in their social media more incendiary things, more insulting things, a lot of expose, deeper expose of the inner dealings of governmental dealings, corrupt dealings, than this young man Ojwang. And not only him, other folks who have been, abducted and, killed and, arrested. Again, the people who have done worse, who are more influential than Ojwang. I mean, before Ojwang was killed and the whole, news of him being, transported from Siaya or whatever the case they got him from to Nairobi and eventually to his demise, we never knew who Ojwang was till his death. So why would the government be so enraged or offended or affected by something that some kid somewhere in an obscure part of the country posts in his social media? Why should it bother them so much to a point where they would make that trip to bring him to Nairobi for torture and kill him? That's where it started not making sense to me. Now, I can understand the arguments that, Lagat was, incensed by the fact that he was linking him directly with this corrupt deal. I can understand that point. But still, for Mr. Ojwang, I mean, like I said, Ojwang wasn't that influential as far as having a national influence. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I'm naive or I just don't know much about him. But I felt like his death there was something missing there. There was more to it than just him being murdered for posting something on social media or exposing Eliud Lagat. That's when I started questioning this whole thing. Okay. And the rage that ensued afterwards. Okay, so I don't know. And now with the abduction of is it Ndaiga? I can't say his name. The young man who was supposed to be produced today at the courts. Again, to me, something just doesn't add up. It is said that he was also posting some things that, anti-government stuff on his social media. Again, I ask myself, is that enough for the government to come for you and abduct you and possibly kill you? Yes. So let me read some wonderful comments here. I can't say your name right, so please forgive me. But thank you so much. Go ahead and like the video and subscribe if you haven't subscribed. He's saying, my friend, the IMF loans have destroyed so many African countries by forcing countries to implement neoliberalism and loot the country with the next to no compensation for workers. Absolutely, international solidarity with the workers in Kenya that are exploited every day by Western global economic order. Absolutely. And I will get to that in a second. Like I said, I just wanted to kind of have people, a lot of Kenyans, then we shall get to this globalist stuff that Mr. Amwadir, I can say your name right. And so, forgive me for that. But yes, so yes, I will get to that as it relates to Kenya. And so I believe I really agree with you 100% as far as the globalist agenda with the IMF, World Bank, and all this loan stuff that a lot of Africans are taking these loans that is resulting to the El Nino. Again, like I said, I will be very brief because my gadget today does not have enough charger, so I will be forced to, be very brief. So yeah, Gypsy Kone is saying, Kenya Revolution now the abduction of the social media influencers are being taken from their homes, and the broad-based MPs are not saying a word. Yesterday, another one was taken through firing and scaring all. Okay, the government is trying to silence the public. Absolutely, they're trying to silence the public now. But here's the thing. Here's my question, and I agree that there's most likely the government is going for these people who are posting things that are not so shedding a positive light on the light of the government. Okay, I agree with you. Okay, to some extent, but I also question this whole thing. Yes, most likely the government, because this, like I mentioned yesterday, this government is greatly insecure. Ruto and all this his minion, these idiots that are holding public office, these guys are super insecure. They are morons, basically. Okay, so I do agree, but again, to me, I think there's more to it than just trying to silence people. I think there is a force there that has an intention of enraging the public. Okay, because now with I think the abductee, the guy that was abducted yesterday, Gypsy, immediately after it was reported that he has been abducted. He has been lost for a while now. But immediately after that news of his abduction, there was a call for, Saba Saba. Saba Saba will be, it will be a mammoth protest, okay? Saba Saba, it will be a great protest because of now that, these protests are going on. Remember, before the June 25th, which was supposed to be a commemoration of the last year's Occupy Parliament, okay? Before that, that's when we had the case of Ojwang. So everyone was like, okay, we are going to occupy State House and also use that to commemorate the death and remembrance of the heroes that died in last year's June 25th, 2024. Ninio. Greetings, Mabri. Nice seeing you, brother. Like, share, comment, and do all the good stuff. My next session, I'll try to bring you in. I want to hear your analysis. Always appreciate your view. So that's what I'm saying. So it was as if like the June 25th Occupy State House 2025 was designed, of course, it was going to happen anyway in commemoration of what happened the year prior. But the death of Ojwang was being used as the fuel to exacerbate the anger that the public, the Gen Z, had, and help them come out, with rage to participate, actively in this June 25th, 2025 Occupy State House movement. And now that we had a talk of Saba Saba, which is on the horizon, Saba Saba is on the 7th of this month, okay? And there's a planned Saba Saba protest that's about to happen. But right before that, just like the Ojwang case abduction, we have the abduction of this young man, Ndaragwa or something like that. Sorry if I'm totally his name, butchering his name. Ndaragwa or something his name is, yeah. So, like I said, just like the events preceding that June 25th, okay, the death of Ojwang kind of gave it a much more fuel, anger. To me, as somebody who's suspicious, I would like to believe that the people who are doing this killing of Ojwang were basically trying to get the people of a certain community to be involved in this June 25th. Because remember, even before the June 25th happened, of course, like I say, the general propaganda by the broad-based government is like this Gen Z movement is not a Gen Z movement, it's a Central Province movement. But with the death of Ojwang, it kind of touched a nerve with the Luo community, who are expected now, the youth of from the Luo Nyanza were expected to join in the June 25th Gen Z movement to show that this thing is not just a Kikuyu uprising as the broad-based Githeri media are trying to label it. Okay, and then now we have a Sabasaba which is planned for on the 7th of this month. Before it, now we have this abduction of this young man, Ndaraigo or something, Daraigu, okay? And now you can see on social media, people are saying, if he's not produced dead or alive, that will fuel the Sabasaba movement, which will be still another protest that is designed with the aim of occupying State House, okay? Now, that's why I'm saying is here's my suspicion, and I'm not saying that this is my position, general position on this matter, but this is my general skeptical thinking. Could it be that these deaths and abductions of Ojwang and now Ndaraigo, or whatever the case is, are designed to draw people on the streets for a protest? Now, you can be sitting there and saying, okay, yes, Ruto is afraid of this protest by the Gen Zs, or these protests are not, the government is scared of this protest because we might, they might take over, or whatever the case is. But when I look at this protest, it seems like Ruto is benefiting from it. You understand what I'm saying? When I look at it more keenly, I'm looking at it like, I think Ruto is getting away with it. He might be, at this point, he might be wishing more protests to come on. Why do I say that? Why do I say that? I know you might be lost in the sauce because of what I'm saying. While these protests are going on, there are laws that are being passed. There are deals that are being made that we are not paying attention to. It's kind of a distraction because for those of us who are pro-Gen Z and we want this protest, massive protest, we are calling for protests, okay, watu waende maandamano, but isikuwe maandamano ya siku moja. The aim of the protest should be watu waende maandamano and not stop until Ruto resigns. Not only Ruto, but Ruto and the whole political class to resign. So kama ni kwenda State House, watu waende State House and should not stop. Watu wasirudi nyumbani, wakae mpaka Ruto aondolewe. Ruto na wao maninyo wote. All is CS, the whole executive branch of government, the whole legislative body, the senators and members of parliament. But these mandamanos, they seem to be mandamano ya siku moja, and that's it. Okay, then we wait again till 9, 9, 10, 10. You understand? Or tutangoja mpaka next year's June 25th. I mean, if that seems to be the pattern, then Ruto can sit pretty. And while people are going for the protest, because he knows, okay, this protest will only last a day, I can conveniently take have a national, take a trip to Mauritius, while nyinyi mnafanya hizo maandamano zenu, mkimaliza, the next day I'll come in and talk all that smack that I want to talk about, knowing that my position is secure. I'll not be sitachujwa. I will not be taken out by the people because these maandamano are only lasting a day. You see what I'm saying? So if you look at it in that sense, Ruto seems to be, well, sitting pretty. I mean, it's playing in his hands. He's not losing from this so-called protest. You understand what I'm saying? That's why I'm saying, at this point, if people are just going to Mandamano for one day, just to, show their, use Mandamano as catharsis, then he can sit pretty and not worry about his losing his position as the president of the Republic of Kenya. You understand what I'm saying? And that is not the aim of the Mandamano in the first place, because the whole idea of Occupy State House 2025 is not just to occupy the State House, it is basically to force Ruto into a resignation, a tolewe, by popular revolt. That's the whole point. That's what I'm saying. So that's why I'm saying, could it be that this Mandamano are kind of controlled? Are they something used now? Have they been infiltrated to the point where they can be used to Ruto's advantage and not for its original intent, corrupt political class, which in turn revolutionize the corrupt system? That's what I'm saying. And that's why I'm raising questions regarding these abductions that are happening, and maybe they're being done as a rage bait. I'll let you marinate on that, okay? Now, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, friends and comrades, like I said, I have very few issues, few things that I want to mention here before I wrap up. Like I say, my gadget is not that strong today. I'm not saying strong, but I mean like it's not well charged. So let me get into something, because later on today we shall have Matiang'i. He has an exclusive one-on-one sit down with, I think, Sam Gitonga, whatever his name is, on NTV, one of those news media in Kenya. So this is what I want to say very quickly before, so we can kind of have an idea of what we should be looking for as far as in the future, where to go as far as Africa is concerned, as an African nation. Today, of course, Ruto is in France or somewhere. He met Macron. Again, any African leader that meets Macron, the president of France, is a total loser, okay? This is a total puppet. Here's the thing. Here are the things that you have to gauge that I want to listen to. I know there are people like Amuzi and other people who are really excited about the prospect of a Maraga presidency or Okiya Mtata. And yes, these people on the surface level, they look like well-intentioned, well-intended, competent leaders who do not have a major scandal behind them. But here are the things that I would like you to consider when you listen to them. A guideline, some things that you have to watch them speak about. Yes, they will come and tell you about the constitution and the blah, 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 what Kenya needs. But it's time for us to, and I'm not talking about the election, because like I say, the coming election is a foregone conclusion. The only way we can take out Ruto is through a popular revolution, okay? And in order for us to have a popular revolution, if you're going to have a popular revolution or we are going to a mandamano, we should go to a mandamano that is continuous, not just going a day alafu kesho tunanyamaza tunangoja mpaka next year, another June 25th. No. We are not going to take Ruto out like that. If you're going to mandamano, we go out there, we stay there till we forces him to resign, okay? Now, here's the thing. Here is how you can tell if a leader is real or not real, okay? If you look at countries from Africa that are trying to divorce themselves, okay, divorce from the Western tentacles of economic oppression, okay, or control, you have to do certain things. And those are the things that I want to hear from the so-called prospective candidates, presidential candidates, the people who are offering themselves to run for presidency. Of course, Matiang'i is none other, is nothing but a criminal. This guy is a criminal, okay? Let's not play dilly-dally around the issue. The guy is a criminal who's supposed to be committee. But we shall listen to what he has to say just for shits and giggles tonight at 9 p.m. Kenyan time, okay? Just for shits and giggles, okay? But here's the thing. I'm more interested in Maraga. Maraga had a interview with John Lamu, I think. I forgot his whatever his old get down, but I didn't listen to. I didn't get a chance to hear the whole thing. But here's the thing: these are the few points that I want to mention for you to use as a guideline if you want to detect if a leader is a true leader or not. Okay. Now, we have to understand something. In order for Kenya to actually prosper, we have to reevaluate our relationship with the West. These countries that are lording over us economically, okay? Like I say, colonialism never quite ended. They stopped physically oppressing you, and they used their the black colonialists who they handpicked, the likes of Jomo Kenyatta, and the list goes on. The modern day is Ruto, Uhuru, okay, to keep us controlled economically, okay? So any leader who comes in and wants to um, lead, so to speak, or want to represent the people of the Republic of Kenya should consider this, reevaluate the relationship with the West. By that, I mean this, okay? This is what I mean. First of all, Kenya is in debt. Okay, Omtata makes a good point with, along with Jimmy Wanjigi, when they say, you know, we should invoke Article 226.5, where if a public official, you know, is responsible for misappropriating any kind of public funds, they are solely responsible for that. So with that said, all our loans, of course, we have to reevaluate our loans. Where did this money that we borrowed, how was it borrowed? Was it done constitutionally as the Constitution, you know, says it should be, okay? The process in which it was, the loan was acquired. What was it used on, okay? If it was acquired illegally, then the people who acquired it and put their signature there on behalf of the Kenyan Republic, those individuals are supposed to pay that money back. That is odious debt. So we will tell IMF and World Bank, hey, listen, we're not going to pay this money because it was odious debt. We did not, first of all, Uhuru Kenyatta should not had no authority to take any loan from any government because he was not representing the Kenyan people. He was an illegitimate president. Illegitimate. Same with Ruto. Okay? So we have to be in control of our monetary system. By that, what I mean is this: who prints our money, who controls our banks, okay, and how we service our loans. We cannot have a private bank like the Kenya Central Bank determining our monetary policies, having the leader of Kenya Central Bank called the governor. Do you know why they're called the governor? Because they're an entity in itself. The people cannot even call for an audit of the Kenyan Central Bank because it is an independent bank, just like the Federal Reserve in the United States. It's a private bank. It's not a national bank. So that has to change. Kenyans have to actually take control of that bank. It should be a national Kenyan bank. Okay? We should control the means of production. It does not make sense. Hassan Joho makes deal with these Westerners to mine in Tsavo Reserve, cordoning off mining spaces, land, away from the locals. This mine is being shipped out to foreign countries. And we don't know how much it is, and none of it is none of the profits that these people are mining, the resources that they're taking from our soil, none of it is actually helping Kenya. Okay. By the way, we can't have a drug dealer become the head of, you know, the minister of mining and all that stuff. Okay, that's just a joke. He should be in committee, hanged. Okay. We should minimize minimize and control foreign investors. China control the foreign investments in that country. Oledekina is one of Ledama Oledekina, that pinhead. I saw him tweet the other day that prisons should be privatized. Again, it shows you how dumb these people are. Again, you can use the United States as an example. Most of the states have privatized their prisons, and you can see the results. Okay, it becomes a business. And if it becomes a business, because the private sector cares about profits, they don't care about actually rehabilitation of our prisoners. So if you make prisons, give it to the hands of the private sector, it will be in the best interest of these private entities that are controlling this prison to have as many prisoners as possible, because it is profit to them. Okay, and like I said, look at the United States. The judicial system is all about money. They make more money having people imprisoned than having them free working jobs, okay? So we should limit the privatization of our parastatals, okay? I had Ruto in one of the interviews talking about, our parastatals are not making profits, so the solution is to privatize them. What a silly argument. You don't privatize something just because it's not efficient, because there's corruption in there. You clean up house and you hire and fire and put people who are competent, who will streamline these parastatals in order to bring profit. You don't privatize it. These are national assets that should help in bringing more resource, collecting more revenue, okay? So you don't privatize it. Privatization means this money is going to individual hands instead of these money profits benefiting the nation by boosting our revenue, okay? We don't have to pay high taxes if we have parastatals that are bringing a lot of income. We can maintain our taxes as low as possible. And low taxes actually help businesses expand. It's an incentive. That's why you see, again, in Western countries like the United States and UK, the government always strike deals with these these multi-corporations, give them tax breaks as an incentive to expand, their businesses. That way it creates jobs and it creates more revenue for the state. That's an incentive that can be happening, okay? You don't privatize it. But anyway, that's another one thing that I was saying. Okay? So, the industries, the same thing. This is also connected. I had Rivertex has been sold or is about to be sold. What's that factory in Trans-Nzoia that the Trans-Nzoia people were actually protesting against? These are the things that should be revitalized to create jobs, meaningful jobs. Okay? Our education sector. So when you hear somebody like today, 9 p.m., when Matiang'i comes in to speak with Sam Gatundu, whatever his name is, Gatundu or Gachoka, whatever his name is, okay? Listen to what he has to say about his vision for Kenya. Again, I've said that Matiang'i is not a serious candidate. This guy is a Western stooge. This guy worked for World Bank, for Christ, crying out loud. Look at who he hired as his campaign consultation firm for his campaign. Okay? So do you expect somebody who worked for World Bank to come, who has a track record of committing atrocities against Kenyan people and never repented and brutalized Kenyans, never atoned for his sins, was involved, embroiled in that Ruaraka land scandal, okay, and many others knew. And did I mention his total contempt for the Constitution and the courts, the judiciary system, when he was supposed to show up in court, pay up for the brutalization of Miguna and others? This is the guy who wants to run for president. That's why I'm saying, even the fact that he works for World Bank, that should be a strike against him enough, a disqualification right there. But we shall have to hear what he has to say. Like I said, let's watch that. We shall watch that interview for shits and giggles. But I've laid out those few points to help you gauge if these candidates are serious or not. Now, the biggest problem is this. I saw, what's his name? Professor Lumumba. He was in Spice FM, whatever the case is. I didn't listen to his whole interview because when he talks, I feel like I'm listening to stuff in slow motion. Okay, I don't have any patience. But anyway, one thing that grabbed my attention, the snippet that I saw, is when he said that Kenya needs a national dialogue. And again, I was incensed by those comments because Kenya does not need a national dialogue. We know what ails Kenya. And a dialogue is the last thing we need. We know what Kenya needs. The problem with Kenya, I always say, is this, is law enforcement. Law enforcement. Yes, you can come here and say, yeah, corruption, tribalism, and all this sort of thing. All that stuff has been taken care of by the 2010 Constitution. It has been addressed. The problem is the people, the political class, the people who are actually violating this Constitution are not being held into account. They're not accountable for breaking the law. And that's why corruption is rampant. Tribalism is rampant. Okay? That's why I say the problem with Kenya is lack of law enforcement. We do not enforce the law. Starting from the president. There's no law enforcement. The court can decide, can rule today that Ruto should, step down, whatever the case is. But he won't. So that's what I mean. The problem, the root cause of the problem in Kenya is law enforcement. We have a police force that is full of criminals, say to be independent. It's not independent. We know it's not independent. They're committing crimes against Kenyans by shooting them down, abducting them, extrajudicial killings, all this stuff. But they're not being held accountable because there's no law enforcement. Murkomen cannot explain his source of wealth. Mike Sonko is running around, free, making TikTok videos. We have a drug dealer as a CS, cabinet secretary, in the government. 2 of them, not only 1. There's no law enforcement. That's the bottom line. That's the problem that ails Kenya. It's not corruption or all this. The corruption can be taken care of if we enforce the law. If you're found to be corrupt and you're jailed and you serve your time and you're not eligible to run for office, then there'll be an effect. You will see less corrupt individuals, public officials, because they will have a clear understanding that if you do get involved in corruption, you shall be jailed and serve time. Go look at Singapore. A lot of Kenyans usually like highlighting or pointing out Singapore as the, whatever, as the example, the standard. And they will post, the snippets by that great Singaporean president. But they usually miss the point. The one thing that actually transformed the Singaporean economy was when that president came in, he made sure that anyone that misappropriated public, like China, before it became a global superpower, economic powerhouse, they had to make that decision. The first thing they said, if you misappropriate public funds, you will be put to death. And that deterred the crime against, their state. And they invested in infrastructure, they invested in production, and voila, here they are now. They're a global superpower. That's how you do it. It's not rocket science. It has been done. We've seen it. Even America did the same thing. They invested heavily during Eisenhower, after World War II. When they increased production, they were producing stuff. Of course, America is in a different trajectory right now as far as economies are concerned. They don't produce as much as they did, but still, they're a powerhouse. They already laid out the foundations. They had their own industrial revolution. So we have to study this and understand that all that talk that Ruto is talking in France today with Macron talking about we've raised $1 billion this year, it means nothing if the common mwananchi is not seeing that $1 billion raised because of corruption. And the corruption only exists because there's no law enforcement. Nobody is enforcing the law. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, I have 1% left. I have to leave it here. Please, if you're going to watch this on repeat, like, share, subscribe, and do all the good stuff. Thank you so much, Gypsy Corner. Thank you, Amwadir, and others that have been watching on the background. I'll talk to you guys later. Probably I'll try to live stream that Matiangi's interview and give you my thoughts on it. I'm Nagani. I'll see you guys later. Peace and blessings. I'll see you guys later. Peace and blessings. I'll see you later. Bye.